You've demanded stills and video frame rates for the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, so I reached out to my sources once again. One source was able to come back with some information, but it wasn't what I expected. Is Sony afraid of the R6 Mark III? Is the A7 IV just a minor update instead of Sony reaching for the fences? And how are large regional players seeing the R6 Mark III in terms of Canon's lineup? Click subscribe and we'll get right to it, and check to make sure you haven't been unsubscribed. A few subscribers have reported it's happened to them. Hi, I'm Simon, your friendly sports photographer that lives for the Fall Classic, wondering which team will come out on top, the Jays or the Dodgers. And like the Jays and Dodgers, I've been working hard, but for a different end. I've been working hard to validate information as fast as it comes in on the R6 Mark III, and frame rates right now are at the top of the list, as is US pricing. But instead of delivering frame rates, one of my trusted sources told me something I really wasn't expecting. So we went to the largest dealer in our city asking about frame rates. We were told that Sony is afraid of the release as it could significantly impact sales of the A7 IV. A camera yet to go on sale, but with an inventory clearing discount on the A7 IV, it looks like Sony's paving the way for the A7 V. $1998 is the lowest price I've ever seen on the Sony A7 IV. That's $500 off the release price. I'm sure Sony's watching my channel to discover the latest Canon EOS R6 Mark III leaks, but I don't think that they're afraid. Now, if the A7 V is just a minor update from the parts bin, well, then they're right to be concerned about sales, at least in 2026. The Canon EOS R6 Mark III isn't just a minor update from the parts bin. In photo mode, we get a huge boost in throughput. 32 megapixels and 3.5 gigabytes per second sustained write speeds from the CF Express Type B card slot, giving the R6 Mark III a lot more capabilities for those that need fast, continuous shooting. And the Digic accelerator, well, that would boost autofocus performance and tracking and free up the brains of the camera for other important tasks like capturing and processing. Now that's assuming that Canon does announce the Digic accelerator with this camera, which I believe they're going to do, because I look at what Sony's done with their AI processing chip that was released in the Sony A7R5. And every other Sony camera released after the A7R5 also got the AI processing chip. So it would be a surprise if Canon decided not to put it in the 6 series, which is what I would consider a pro-level camera. And speaking of pro-level, or more particularly talking about photographers, the R6 Mark III is all about elevating our image or our potential, but it's also about power and passion. These aren't my words, these are Canon's words. So the R6 Mark III for photographers is getting a rather major update. Unless of course 24 megapixels is more than sufficient for you, then maybe not as big of a deal. But I gotta tell you, as somebody who didn't think CF Express cards were that big of a deal back in 2020, the very first one I got, it was like, well, getting your first pair of glasses. You didn't think your eyesight was going until you got the new glasses. You put the glasses on and boy, could you see the world. The ability to move content off the cards very, very fast. And not only that, now you don't have to move content off the cards to actually edit them. You can edit them right on the cards. You can transcode, which is a really big update. So for photographers, the R6 Mark III is still a rather big update. But the R6 Mark III is also getting a huge update when it comes to video. 7K oversampled 4K, 7K RAW, 4K 120 frames per second, OpenGate, Intra, Long Op, H.265, H.264, Canon Log 2, Canon Log 3. This isn't the Mark I that overheated and took the better part of an hour to cool down before overheating again. That also didn't have All-I, or now as it's called, Intra. And why are we hearing All-I versus Intra? Well, Canon's adopted industry standards in terms of what the video modes are, and for the first time looking at them, I got to admit they're pretty scary. For example, XF AVC-S, YCC 422 10-bit. What that means is you're shooting in H.264 at 422 and 10-bit. The next thing I was told is that the R6 Mark III will be a younger sibling of the R5 Mark II. And to provide context, that quote, that the R6 Mark III is basically a mini R5 Mark II. That's not coming from my source, but the, how shall we say, rather large retailer or distributor. Now, as a Canon EOS R5 Mark II shooter, where is it? Right here. All set up for video mode here. It's got the cooling grip. I love this thing, and it's got Canon's own mic. The leaked specs and stills and video come across very much like a mini Canon EOS R5 Mark II. High resolution stills with much faster data throughput, allowing 40 frames per second at 32 megapixels. And that's crushing Sony's current 10 frames per second across their entire lineup. Well, most of their lineup. 10 frames per second in the A7 IV. Now the A7 V, we don't know. We've heard some people suggesting it might go up to 15 frames per second. Video specifications are also impressive. So much so that if these leaked specifications hold true at announcement, I could easily see myself, and I'm not just saying this, when I look at the specifications, everything that's leaked out, everything that's rumored for the R6 Mark III, in most shooting scenarios, I'm getting a feeling that the R6 Mark III, well, might be, in a way, a better camera, saving myself some coin at the same time. And that's, and let me explain this a little bit. What I like about the R5 is not the 45 megapixels. It's the 8K oversampled 4K. The detail that I get in 4K. Shooting with Canon Log 2 from the video standpoint is amazing. With the R6 Mark III, 7K oversampled 4K, if that is very close to this, to the point where unless you're pixel peeping, you're not going to notice the difference, then as far as video goes, okay, good. And does it do 4K 120? Well, that's what we're being told. Okay, it does all the other capabilities plus OpenGate. So video-wise, I'm covered. And because it has CF Express Type B, well, I'm covered there. And stills, believe it or not, I'm much happier around that, well, 24 to 30 megapixels point. The files are really large, but I shoot mostly video, so not a big deal, and I can always reduce them in post. But the R6 Mark III, well, look at the price. $20.99 for the Canon EOS R6 Mark II. And here's the price of the Canon EOS R5, the Mark I, and the price of the Mark II. So if I can get all the video capabilities and the stills capabilities that I need that are in the R5 Mark II, but in the R6 III for a lower price, yeah. Now, am I saving money? No, because that money isn't going to cannibalize Canon's line. I'm going to throw it back into lenses. So if Sony is concerned, as my source says they are, then it's because the A7 V is getting a minor update. Or maybe the A7 V isn't going to be announced anytime soon, leaving the A7 IV to compete against the R6 Mark II, the R6 Mark III, the Z6 Mark III, or both. Sony has yet to offer a competitor to the Canon EOS R5, the Mark I, the Mark II, and the Nikon Z8. The 1-2 punch of the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, the mini Canon EOS R5 Mark II, along with the R5 Mark II, and of course, don't forget Nikon with their Z6 Mark III and their Z8. Well, it's going to require Sony to give us a bold new camera, not a minor update that we've seen with most Sony cameras since 2020, where all we've received is a variation in parts and capabilities of the A7S III, with the Sony A9 Mark III with its global shutter sensor and the A7R5 as a high-resolution shooter being the standouts. Almost every other camera in Sony's lineup can look back to Sony A7S III as its parent, not exceeding, but trickling down in features and functions. Canon's had 3 years to work on the R6, while Sony's had a staggering 5 years to work on the A7. So far, leaks are very uninspiring for the Sony. Now, with each set of leaks for the R6 Mark III, we can see a powerful leap over the Mark II. Regardless of what Sony does, the R6 Mark III will sell very well, as did the R5 Mark II last summer, selling out the first batch within minutes. Sony, you're a leader in mirrorless, in the mirrorless camera world. Stop these minor updates and give us something bold, something that you're known for, something that improves our workflow, the hit rate. After 5 years, we're ready for a big update. And for you, the viewer at home, if you've got something that you can share with us, something that our viewers might want to know about the upcoming Sony a7 IV, the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, or maybe the second announcement that Canon's got planned for November, where we're going to see, well, maybe 3 more lenses, including the Canon RF 300 to 600 millimeter f4 to 5.6. If you've got any information that you can share with us, please email me at simondyates@gmail.com. I promise you anonymity. One other thing, as we get close to Black Friday, the A7 is $1998. That's $100 less than the Canon R6 Mark II at $2099, and $500 off its release price. We're also seeing discounts on Canon lenses, offering up to $300 off. Please consider using my affiliate links to B&H and Anorama in the United States, Wax Photo and Video in the United Kingdom, and Photoca in Europe. Thank you so much for your help. For each purchase, we get a small commission back. And thank you. Thank you for helping to keep the lights on and avoid those minute-long Squarespace and VPN sponsorships. Means an awful lot to us. And if you've been watching for a while and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and click subscribe. Even if you're just watching on your TV, it's right there. It really does help this channel out. It helps this channel get more exposure. It shows engagement. And, well, to me personally, it means an awful lot. I'd really love to see this channel get up to 100,000 subscribers, but we're still a long way off. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not. Anyhow, cheers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.